Welcome to Navigate Part 7, a transitioning program for veterans and current serving, families, first responders, and allied health professionals. In this second of two presentations, we will look at the final 4 of 7 lessons for learning to operate effectively in relationship territory. Many partners of veterans note that their husbands or wives seem to have a more intimate connection within their military tribe than within the family. For veterans and current serving, tribe is based on unconditional support. It is a deep bond forged through the military ritual of being broken down and reformed. It is about the shared memories of operations, often unspoken, but deeply etched into the marrow of the bones. The bond is not something that can be easily grasped or understood by others. It can erode the foundation of connection with partners if not spoken about. The partners often describe struggling with the deep bonds their veterans have with their own tribe, which often can feel more intimate than those between themselves and their partners. In Lesson 4, we will explore the need to clarify, following which we will look at maintaining your arcs of fire, avoiding an AD or ND, and learning to identify and use your daily pull-throughs. A veteran once noted to me, "I remember when my wife used to start a discussion about how unsupported she was feeling. I immediately used to get fired up. I was doing everything I could to hold part-time work. I'd been trying to cut down on my drinking and had been seeing a counselor. The more defensive I became, the more frustrated she would get. It was all downhill from there. It was only when I realized that it was not about justifying or defending my position, but rather asking for more information and allowing her to talk that we began to make progress." Remember your training. You never rushed into any unmapped territory. You took time to observe, look at a map, and identify points of risk. So, why rush in blindly into a conversation? Ask for more information. Ask for clarification. Use questions such as, "Can you tell me more about what you're saying? Can you give me some examples of what you see me doing? What would it look like for you to see me as being more supportive?" Begin by seeking first to understand before you expect to be understood. The very asking of these questions allows the other person an experience of being listened to. It also creates a stopgap to regroup, breathe, and ground yourself. Often, as soon as we feel listened to, we are more likely to feel supported. Mission achieved. A veteran once noted to me, "There were so many moments when I just used to lose it. I'd go off at my family, friends, while driving on the road, and at my co-workers. I was like a runaway gun, just shooting my mouth off at everything and anything." Remember that your arcs of fire are there for the sole purpose of not placing others at risk. It's critical to not only learn to listen without reacting, but to also, where appropriate, identify and communicate your boundaries. Start to identify these arcs in all situations. Identify who and what fits into the arc and what is outside of it. Learn to step back from what is outside your area of responsibility. Learn to communicate effectively and clearly with what falls within your area of influence. Learn tools to regulate your emotions. Remember your cock, hook, and look. Take a moment, breathe, and create a space between the situation as you perceive it and your triggered reaction. First use the cock hook in this space, and then have a good look. For a moment, try and go into OP mode. Step back and get out of the killing ground. What you are going to do will define who you are and can be. You are entitled to feel what you want, but you are responsible for what you do with those feelings. Maintaining arcs of fire takes discipline and an awareness of others around you. Your spouse, children, friends, other drivers, people on the street, and co workers are not the enemy. Another veteran also once noted, "There was a moment sitting around the table with my family when I lost it. The kids were fighting, and my wife was exhausted and was screaming at them and me to sort it out. The next thing I knew, I had a knife at her throat. There was this pause. It felt like a picture frozen in time. All I could see was sheer fear in my wife's and my children's eyes. They were looking at me as if I was a monster. It was like I had gone into automatic." Remember that all ADs are potentially life-threatening situations. Part of taking responsibility for an AD is recognizing that you need support. This not only can have an impact on your healing, but will also demonstrate an intent to those you love that you are willing to change. Remember, you are not damaged. You are a good veteran whose brain struggles to differentiate between war and civilian life. Too many traumatized veterans bring the war home with them. The family becomes hypervigilant and walks on eggshells. Those you love are no different from the soldiers you operate with. As much as your focus in the military was to bring everyone home alive by excelling in who you were, the same is valid with those you love. Your intent is not to harm them. Your attitude to healing needs to be that no matter how tough it could get, you are willing to do whatever it takes to protect others in your territory. The strength of your attitude to create healing and change is where it all begins, and it is who you were and still are. Another veteran noted, "It's never been easy to adjust after I left the military. I felt safer on operations than I've ever felt in civilian life. I couldn't deal with the noise, the unpredictable and self-directed behaviors, the chaotic roads, the busy shopping centers, and trying to figure out who I was outside of uniform and away from my brothers. I saw endless psychologists but was not motivated to do anything they suggested. It's like I would talk to someone and feel better for a while, but slowly the stress and the chaos would filter into my bones and my brain. I only realized this when I lost it in some way. It took a lot before I realized that if I was going to change, I needed to bring the same disciplines of soldiering to my civilian life. These are self-discipline, daily practice and repetition, till my behavior became instinctive and automatic. No matter how out of it I felt, I could still exercise, keep my space tidy, eat healthily, and use the tools that professionals suggested. Transitioning to successfully operating in civilian life and relationships can be highly challenging. To not pay attention to these challenges is precisely the same as neglecting to do your pull-throughs to ensure you keep your barrel clean. At some point, you will experience a stoppage. Your core drive will be to identify the contents of your toolbox that you draw on daily. Every day is an opportunity for a pull-through. Give thought to what you are willing to do. In my book on pages 176 to 183, there are some tools for you to try out. Remember that a clean barrel equates to potentially less fallout. Change takes time. Between the intent and the experience of change is a journey. The ability to remain in the driver's seat needs to be earned by sheer intent and effort, no matter how small the steps are. Be willing to do the journey. You are worth it. You need to bring the same disciplines of soldiering to civilian life. Self-discipline, daily practice and repetition, till your ability to change your reactions becomes instinctive and automatic. In finishing off the 7 relationship lessons, I want to pay a personal tribute to my wife. All my personal and challenging work on becoming a better human was worth it. Whether your relationships are with yourself, your children, partner, or friends. Be willing to do what it takes to heal and bring the best of who you are to these connections. Be ready and willing to get up and commit to being more compassionate and connected, respectful and caring. Do not allow your past to define you. Every moment, step, and word should be conscious, focused with discipline and motivation to make your tomorrow today's target. Thank you all for taking the time to join me.